Hello and thanks for joining us on your channel of choice, Africa Independent Television AIT. This is the Signature Show. I'm Nwabweze Njoko, and also with me this afternoon is Vin Martin Obiora Ilo. Vin, how is it?
I'm fine. Hello, our dear friends. I hope you're staying safe. These are uncertain times, but I know Nigerians are very persevering. Nigerians are very hardworking. Nigerians are winners. We are going to win this too. But please do stay safe. And Nwabweze, talking about staying safe, what has happened in the country these few days, has made my heart bleed. Of course, no one and none of us would support what happened at the toll gate in Lekki. None of us will support police brutality, even before these demonstrations. And none of us supports police brutality, even in these protests. And none of us will support the destruction of public property and private property.
Vin, there is another dimension to it. Discover that most of the state capitals in the southern part of the country are boiling. Things are being burnt, people are being killed, properties are being destroyed. But except Jos in Plateau State, most northern states are rather calm. Does that tell a story?
I really sit back and I wonder why this is happening. But I think that what we'd like to do on this show today is to call on all Nigerians. I read somewhere today, end SARS does not mean end Nigeria. End SARS does not mean kill your brother or make someone unhappy or destroy property that the money we are talking about that is scarce is going to be used, to repair them. In Enugu, for instance, they burnt a local government, they burnt banks. In Aba, they burnt a whole lot of places. In the southwest, in a lot of places. This should not be happening.
Then also in Delta State, the police seems to have joined the protests, but from a totally different perspective. They say, look, the Constitution allows you to protest. We are also under obligation to protect you. But you can't be burning police stations, and you cannot also be killing us. After all, we are also Nigerians.
Yes, policemen are Nigerians, and 100% of members of the Nigeria police force are not criminals. They are not bad eggs. They are still men of honor and women of honor in the Nigerian police force. And that is why we continue to plead that this whole protests, this whole demonstrations is about correcting something that is wrong in the country.
Correcting something that's wrong, then, a number of Nigerians have said that the federal government, in fact the president, seems to be hearing nothing, seeing nothing, and doing nothing. But last Thursday evening, the president addressed the nation. What did you make of the president's broadcast?
It's not just what I made of it, but what Nigerians made of it. A lot of Nigerians think that the president did not go far enough. They think, and you see it in social media, mainstream media, on the streets everywhere, Nigerians would have wanted him to do more. Nigerians would have wanted an empathizing president. Nigerians would have wanted a president who would use as a signpost the shooting of the protesters at the toll gate in Lekki in Lagos. It was not mentioned in the president's speech, and that was not good enough.
But the president himself also admitted in that speech that indeed Nigerians were right to protest. He said so. Yes. He also did say that there was nothing wrong in the young people pointing out certain weaknesses in governance. He said so, but he went ahead to say, look, you've made a 5-point demand, which has gotten to me. I am with you. Let me attend to these issues. Isn't that far enough?
Well, it is far enough, but in human management, if you're a leader, you need to connect with your people. You must know the mood of the nation. You must know the mood of these young people. A lot of us older folks think that maybe the NSAS protest would have ended at that point, especially when there was, an amiable disposition by government to listen to some of their demands. I must point out that the poster boys of this crisis, the community somewhere in Imo State, in Abombise to be, Uvura Abombise to be very precise, a community of about 5 communities, 5 autonomous communities. They did something extraordinary. They mobilized their youths and built a human shield around the
Police area command.
The police area command in their area, and made sure it was protected.
It was protected, but also they did say that they were not against the NSAS protests, but that they were against destroying property in trying to end what is not right. Why do you use what is wrong and what is wrong?
And I remember part of what they said, that they used their money to build that area command, and it was their duty to protect it. And that should be the spirit of this season.
Then also in the course of last week, the CUG Foundation said that it was time for the youth to end the protest.
And of course, they addressed the press, and we'll take that press conference in a moment.
Members of the Board of Trustees of the foundation say the protests are losing focus and are being taken over by interests with a different agenda from that of the organizers of the NSAS protests.
The NSAS protest seems to be deviating. It seems to be garnering, in a bit to stop the NSAS one way or the other, seems to be garnering ethnic coloration. Seems to be garnering tribe versus tribe, which is not the intent. I think the intention of the protesters is genuine. The youths have proved that they can stand and ask for their rights.
The CUG Foundation, while addressing journalists in Abuja on Tuesday, admitted that there are situations in the country that justify the protests by the NSAS agitators.
NSAS, as it is a call to end poverty. There is massive poverty. There's no denying about it. NSAS is a call to a stop to the issue of unemployment, pervasive unemployment, hunger in the land. These are the issues of NSAS. And we cannot run away from the fact that the appointees of the federal government, let me say the appointees of the president, they have not really represented the president. And they think for themselves with massive corruption, massive nepotism, and something must give.
They also stated that the response of the government has not persuaded the protesters to stop their protest because the Nigerian public does not trust the government to deliver on its words.
It is not enough for a pronouncement to be made that SARS has been ended. One expected that the powers that be, the office of the IG, would move ahead and set up a task force to go to different parts of the country in the open and dismantle the structures of SARS, including their hidden torture cells and places where they have remanded people unjustly. When these actions, overt and covert, are seen, so even when you are making promises, the tendency is that you are not going to get people to trust and believe that what you are promising will be done. That's why it is necessary for you to come clean to the open. Take certain steps that everybody will see.
However, the CUG Foundation fears that the level of destruction across the country, the attempt to give ethnic coloration to the protests, and the lives and properties being lost in the course of the protests run against the stated objectives of the End SARS protesters. The Board of Trustees of the Foundation, therefore, called on the protesting youths to sheath their sword and engage the government to resolve all issues in contention.
This is SignatureTV.org. Breaking the news. Following the news. Analyzing the news. 247 round the clock. All on the go. SignatureTV.org. News in your pocket.
Well, with destruction and things, as we've been observing in the course of this conversation going on around the country, one of our colleagues, correspondent Damilola Abudu, decided to go out and feel the pulse of the people.
There is an alleged pressure on the Nigerian government to use the apparatus of state to stop the EndSARS protests sweeping across the country. The pressure, they say, arises from a long-standing political attitude that government and the order it represents cannot and should not be challenged. The reality, however, is that things have changed. The Nigerian citizen in today's globalized world has keyed into social and political values that make him entitled to open, accountable, and inclusive governance. However, the EndSARS protests have created a number of challenges. Besides, the protesters block access roads and prevent workers from going to work, thereby undermining national economic productivity. They also endanger the livelihood of the very poor Nigerians who depend on daily labor for their sustenance. These cannot be totally peaceful.
The protesters have the right to block the National Assembly to speak, to allow the National Assembly leader to come out and speak to them. They also have the right to go to the presidency for demanding for the president to come out and address their matter. But they don't have the right to block anybody who is going on a legitimate business of his own.
Many Nigerians may say that the present government is not known for strategically engaging with the citizens. The argument is that in the present situation, however, the government cannot adopt a talk-to approach. The government should adopt the talk-with approach while remaining firm on the maintenance of law and order. They are calling on the government, therefore, to identify the leaders of the EndSARS movement and engage with them for an end to the present protests.
The moment they gather on a particular day, on a particular date, and it's obvious that the government has met most, if not all, of the demands, they would definitely tell themselves that, look, 1 has been met, 2 has been met, 3 has been met, 4 has been met, 5 has been met.
Should the National Assembly not be the center of the present conversations?
Being a citizen of this nature, Nigeria, they should have a means of resolving this issue not only to protests, but to meet their leader from different constituency. Because one of the aim of this leader representing us in the parliament, that is the National Assembly, is to iron out our view from different constituencies.
At present, the seeming lack of clear-cut leadership in the NSAS movement may be dangerous, as interests that do not wish Nigeria well could seize the protests to create challenges for the country. At the same time, the military, which has issued statements which some consider unwarranted, should not be drawn into the present protests, which are civil and democratic.
The role of the police is supposed to maintain law and order, ensure that the protesters are not being attacked by hoodlums like it's happening now. The military are only to be anticipatory, anticipating in the event of, in security management, you have to anticipate crisis to manage crisis. If you anticipate, you need to take it's only a proactive action now to warn. When you don't warn, you warn is just to put you in check.
In this season of protests, there is the need for Nigerians to be allowed to express their dissatisfaction about the state of their nation. This they should, however, do within the ambits of the law. Last week, we started serving you an interview we had with former senator from Kaduna State.
Senator Shehu Sani.
Shehu Sani.
Yes.
We gave you just a little snippet last Sunday. Today, we bring more of that interview. Please sit back and watch my colleague, Mwabez Njoko, talk with Senator Shehu Sani.
You've said that some of these youths are in the street, not representing any political interests. They are out in the street protesting what they think is not right for them and for their nation. Is that to say, really, that there are no political interests involved?
Well, everyone has political interest, but the interest which these young people have is the interest of their future that has been destroyed by people who are in a position of power. From the president to the ministers to the governors, all of them, 98% of them attended public schools from primary, secondary to university level, paying almost nothing. Now go to a typical primary and secondary school in your locality and see how it has been destroyed over the years, simply because people in the position of power have the resources that they have accrued from the national treasury to take their children and give them the best of education in any part of the world. Keep that aside. 98% of people in the position of power, their mother either gave birth to them in their homes or in public hospitals. Because in the last 40, 50, 60 years, how many private hospitals do we have in Nigeria? But now go to a typical private hospital, public hospital, and see what you have there. Recently, I was in Bauchi. I was invited for an event. And then the head of a public school was delivering a speech. And he said, government can no more build hostels. Government can no more give scholarships. So what can government do? You attended a public university, lived in a public hostel, and now you find yourself in a position of power. You cannot build more hostels for the generation that succeeded you. You went to public school and was given a scholarship by your state government, and you are in a position of power. You cannot give scholarship to the children of the poor. Now, you cannot build a nation when you rob Peter to pay Paul. if the system is that of robbing Peter to pay Paul, then they should only expect patriotism from Paul, not from Peter. So if this country will experience peace and stability, then we must ensure social justice and equity. And these teeming young people who are sitting down, we don't know. This is a cake of gunpowder. This is a time bomb for our country. If you think that because you have 4 or 5 children that you have educated well and then you don't care. But those your children, which country are they going to live in? They're still going to live in this country here. And I've said it repeatedly that if we want Nigeria to work, then we must all be given that sense of belonging. Yes, I belong to Nigeria. Whatever part of the country I come from, I can be seen to be like any other person from any part of the country. But you can see what is happening today. The only job that needs no connection for you to get is the army, because of bandits in the northwest and the Boko Haram in the northeast. If you apply to the army, the Air Force, and the Navy, they will happily employ you because you are going to go and fight. But some of the most prestigious jobs in government are being occupied by people in the position of authority. And this cut across the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. And will these young people whose future has been destroyed, will they simply fold their arms and see? Look at what is happening. When a marriage is taking place, it is the daughter of Emir A getting married to the minister, the son of Minister B, or the daughter of Senator A getting married to the son of Governor B. Because you can see they are even creating a dynasty of privilege, while you and your children, the poor ones here, are being consigned to a dynasty of poverty and want. So I believe that if Nigeria has to work, we must entrench social justice. Continue to reform the police. If you like, make every police a saint, it does not matter. Once the wealth of this country is in the hands of few people, every 2-3 years they bring a list. Hey, this person, Alaji this, he has this oil well. Chief Dad, he has this oil well. They are just sharing everything for themselves. They share contracts, they share oil well, they share procurement, they share everything. They even share their daughters and their sons to themselves. So the question is that these frustrated young people have nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear. Now, you tell them to vote, they voted, and the person they voted with the hope of change is worse than the one they removed. This is what's happening in Nigeria today. And the preoccupation is that we are fighting corruption. Okay, we're fighting corruption, and then it comes to the point. Some few years ago, the president was in Dubai and said he was going to bring the list of Nigerians who have properties in Dubai. That nobody heard of that again. They said Nigerians have bought a lot of properties in London. They are going to publish the list of that. No list came out. Because by the time you are a president and you are given list and you saw that 40 or 50% of people in that list are your loyalists and the other 50 are your critics, you have 2 options. Either to publish everything, point blank, or you simply just cool off. And this is what is happening.
Distinguished Senator, let us head into a different issue that we think is also of concern. to this country. I'm sure that you know of the World United Nations report, which positioned Nigeria about 2 years ago or 3 as the poverty capital of the world. Permit me to rephrase that report. It might be true if Nigeria is taken as a basket, as a single basket. But the fact is that all the indices used by the UN to arrive at that report played out fully in northern Nigeria. I might therefore safely suggest that indeed northern Nigeria is the poverty capital of the world. Do you believe that, like what happened in 1945 at the end of the Second World War, that northern Nigeria needs a Nigerian model of Marshall Plan to be able to help it out of this poverty?
Thank you for this question. Well, first and foremost, I have problem accepting that statistics that the North is the poverty capital of the world. I don't think that is correct, because I've been to countries, many countries in Africa. I've seen the poverty in Niger Republic, in Chad, in Mali, in Burkina Faso, in Uganda, Central African Republic, Democratic Republic of Congo, Malawi. I don't think that this is true, but we can see that the north is poorer than the southern part of Nigeria. But before I continue also, I think the south should not deceive themselves, always taking the narrative that the north is poorer than the south, because the poor people that are in the south are simply being marginalized. And the picture that is being given is that the south is, everybody in the south is rich and everyone in the north is poor, which is not true. Poverty is in all parts of Nigeria, from Calabar to Ibadan, everywhere. But there are different kinds of poverty. The poverty that we are talking about in the north is the one in which the region has the resources to be better than it is now, but it has by itself become the problem of itself. For the 60 years of our political independence, many of those that have held political offices, the highest office in the land, are from northern Nigeria. And they had the opportunity to develop the agricultural base of the north, explore the mineral resources of the north, upgrade its educational standard, and industrialize the region. If the foresight and the dreams of the likes of Sadona of Sokoto and Aminu Kano was the compass for development of northern Nigeria, we could not have been where we are today. But over the years, we have had leaders who have not just destroyed the north, but have also retarded the development of the southern part of Nigeria. Where did we get this wrong? You see, the political establishment in the north have capitalized on the ignorance of the people, manipulate them using sectionalism, religion, and ethnicity, and build a wall of defense and solidarity around themselves, and made it impossible for the people to use their sense of reasoning and question power. It is our own that is in power. We must protect him. We must preserve him. We must support him. And as such, if you have that kind of insurance, you don't need to perform. You don't need to deliver, because your position and seat is guaranteed by a sentiment, by a prejudice, which you have built over the years. So religion and ethnicity has been used to enslave the people in the north and deny them the capacity and the ability and the right to question power when it goes wrong. That is why you will see that it is most likely a typical northerner can come out to the street and protest on religious and sectional issues than on issues that borders on his life, on his survival, and that of his family, and that of his children. When you have an uprising against a government, let's say on issue of fuel price increase, it is so easy to convince a northerner not to come out and protest, because the protest is coming from the south and is done against the president, who is his brother and who is someone that comes from his own religion or section.
No matter how he suffers from the policy.
No matter how. So this is how it is. So the political elites there have used this as a weapon to clamp the people down and keep them in their own perpetual servitude and control. It is only, and why it has been so is because of what became of the politics of northern Nigeria right from the First Republic to date. There are two political spectrums in northern Nigeria: the revolutionary socialist side of Aminu Kano and the conservative side of Sardauna of Sokoto. And it is the conservative side that produced the first leadership and controlled the affairs of the state. So the thinking, the ideological thinking of those leaders of that time usually vibrates within their own followers. That is why the people from the southwest, you can see their thinking, their ideological bent and thinking and horizon is from that of Awolowo, even though you have some dissent. And that of the southeast are of a pan-Nigerian outlook, though the southeast are divided into two. There are those who think like Zik and those who think like Ojukwu. Now, in the general context, I'm trying to show you that the north can be one of the most prosperous part of Nigeria and the whole of West Africa if a number of things is done. First of all, the immediate issue is to address the problem of terrorism and extremism. And this extremism is not simply about members of Boko Haram or the Shiite, as people will say. A simple comment on social media, you can detect extremists and fanatics. There are so many of them. Second issue is education. The need to invest in education in the north, upgrade public education system, get more people in school and make it possible for them to read and write and be able to challenge authority. The third aspect is investment in agriculture and soil mineral resources. If those two areas have serious investment, the north now can even be more prosperous than the south. Because if you are to divide the land space in Nigeria, 70% of Nigeria's land is northern Nigeria. It's 30% that is southeast and southwest and south-south. Now with such land, and there is no part of this country where you cannot plant a corn and for it to germinate. So the poverty, the penury, and the destitution in northern Nigeria is self-inflicted, and it has become a weapon that is being used by the political establishment in northern Nigeria to control people. And by doing that, they are retarding the progress of the country. The solution to it is the need to restructure this country so that we don't again wait for free money coming from oil from Niger Delta. We all now have to think inward. What do we do? What should we do to make money? You can grow corn in Sokoto. You can grow corn in Katsina. You can grow corn in Zamfara. You can grow corn in Kaduna State. Why can't we grow corn and supply to Kellogg's in Europe or United States for cornflakes? So we need a leadership, not the kind of leadership we're having today. We need a leadership with a vision. When I say leadership with a vision, I mean a leadership that has a manual of what to do with power. When Murtala Muhammad came, he ruled Nigeria for 6 months. But before he assumes office, he already has a template of what to do.
So because he also believed in the left, intellectual left.
Yes. So he knows the problem. And then you come into office in 2015. We spent about 4 to 5 months without ministers. Some of the programs that ought to have been done in the first tenure have been done now. And we keep on piling debt upon debt. We are reaching a point that we are going back to where we come from in 2004. A Nigerian leader we need is one that is pan-Nigerian, one that does not see himself as a southerner or northerner, one whose major focus is development and prosperity, progress and future of Nigeria, one that will restructure this country and make it possible for all parts of the country to contribute to national development. So I believe that we cannot achieve this without having the kind of desired leaders we have. But most people, we elect into office either people that reflect our ethnic, religious, or sectional interests or sentiment. And that is not going to be of use to Nigeria of 21st century.
Well, you're watching the Signature Show on AIT. We'll take a break now, and when we return, 2 more interesting issues we'll discuss with Shehu Sani. Stay with us.
This is SignatureTV.org. Breaking the news. Following the news. Analyzing the news. 247 round the clock. All on the go. SignatureTV.org. News in your pocket.
Well, let me welcome you back. Distinguished Senator, permit me to return to the matter of poverty. If you walk Nigerian streets in Abuja, in Kano, in Jos, in Katsina, you'll be confronted with the sight of Nigerians begging. It's not just begging. Young people, 3 years, 5 years, who seem to live their lives in the street. Some derisively say they are born in the street and they grow up in the street. And majority of them are from northern Nigeria. I don't have the exact statistics, but preponderantly, these beggars are Hausas. You can hardly find an idle or unemployed Fulani person. You can hardly find a Fulani woman who is begging. You can hardly find an unemployed Fulani person. You find them as mayors, you find them as district head, you find them as intellectuals, PhDs, ministers, permanent secretaries, well-off Nigerians. Why is it that it is the Hausa person in northern Nigeria who begs?
Well, I think this is a question which we try to ask ourselves. For those of us who are House of Fulani,
Let me interrupt you.
that
Let me interrupt you,
yeah,
Senator.
yes.
Is there any ethnic group in Nigeria called Hausa Fulani?
Yeah, when they said Hausa Fulani, it means that part of your family is Hausa and part is Fulani. We have people who are purely Hausas, and we have people who are purely Fulanis. And when you have, maybe your mother is Fulani, your father is Hausa, then you have to say Hausa Fulani. So it is, to my own thinking, that is how it's supposed to be. But now, the general identity of people in northern Nigeria, or most people know that, is going to be Hausa Fulani, in order to make sure that both two ethnic groups are represented. But they are distinctive ethnic groups. Fulani have their language and culture, and the Hausas also have their language and culture separate from, but they are all brought together by history and by religion. So back to your question now, I will say that the idea of begging by the Hausas come from a particular religious sect within Islam in the north that has no issues with begging and simply even indirectly endorses it. But with the expansion of the Sunni, and then people like late Sheikh Abubakar Muhammad Gumi, by his sermons, by his preaching, he now tried to did everything within his lifetime to show how un-Islamic it was for people to beg. Then they now set up modern schools. It's going to be like, the schools are like our own Western schools, but they purely teach Islamic. And he also prescribed that children should go to school with their own parents. So why houses beg has to do with the fact that a religious sect within Islam dominates Hausa land, and they also support that. And Fulanis are not within that religious sect. The jihad of Damfodio in the early 1800s was founded not just, it wasn't about converting idol worshippers to Islam, but it's also about purifying Islam from un-Islamic practices. And that is why they embark on a war. And in most Hausa lands today, the emirs are Fulanis as a result of that war. And in Bidda, they are Nupes, but the emir, the Ezunupe, are Fulanis. In Kano, they are Hausas, but the emirs are Fulani. In Zaria, they are Hausas, but the emirs are Fulani. In Gombe, in everywhere, except in Borno area, where they have an empire that was able to counter the Fulani jihadis at that very time here, and then preserve its own territory. So why Hausas beg simply has to do with the fact that a religious sect within Islam dominates Hausa land, and it encourages that. But now things are changing.
This afternoon we've been conversing with distinguished Senator Sani, a progressive thinker. I said at the beginning, I didn't ask him a question when he would decide to engage the northern intellectual class and insist that certain issues we raised this afternoon will be of national conversation. But I know someday we'll find a time to do that. Distinguished Senator, thank you for coming to the program.
Thank you for having me here.
My name remains Mwabuoz Njoko. Let's meet next Sunday. Good afternoon.
Well, that was Senator Shehu Sani in that very exciting chat with with Unravels and Joe. Unravels, you were having fun too.
Wasn't I having fun, really? But that was a very critical interview. Very.
Well, that's our package for today on the Signature Show. Remember that you can watch this show again on our social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. You can also go to our website, SignatureTV.org. I am Vin Martin Obiora Ilo.
Well, I'm Unravels and Jokai. Thank you for investing your time with us this Sunday. But please don't you go anywhere. Corruption Story follows immediately. Good afternoon.
Another Sunday afternoon don't land, and we don't carry with program Corruption Story come again, for where we dey shine torchlight put for the matter of corruption for we country and how we go take do, where we go pursue and comot pata pata. Una welcome to this special program. My name na Ufuoma Eguriase. My people, this matter of corruption, it be like house where enemy don't jump go hide for inside the roof. As rain dey fall, owner or landlord of house, you go dey patch roof. You go they call Panteka, they go they come, they try, they do everything. But enemy will sit down for inside there, you go still they choke hole for another side, make the leak no stop. For different story where we don't bring, different country people don't hear and say, Sam, lie, you know, get the kind of situation where they one day, they never go ever put hand for corruption. But like enemy will hide for inside roof. Some of the country people still they spoil things up and down. Well, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC for short, they don't hear and say every corruption case must get punishment. Now this one make them talk say one Ishaq Abubakar, he go see Pepe as them don't catch him with 2,886 ATM cards, 4 mobile phone SIM card as they try travel go Dubai. Now Ishaq Abubakar be our corruption story for today. Tanda with us.
This a corruption story.
You wonder, you go begin to wonder, 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 till you turn to wonder.
This matter reach to wonder how it take possible say one countryman go get 2,886 ATM card for pocket. That one fit claim say he dey honest. Wetin in dey carry 2,886 ATM cards go another country go do? For Thursday, September 10, 2020, officers of the Nigerian Customs Service for Muritala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, bin see Ishaq Abubakar with the man wey wan help am pass through customs as he wan board Emirates flight go Dubai. The customs screening machine show say this man carry different packs of noodles. Passenger wey dey carry only noodles, e no suppose need anybody to help am pass through customs check. The matter be like red flag for their eye. Now dem decide to check this man wella.
Officer of the law, officer of the law, officer of the law. What on, sir? I get change. This is 200. This is 300. 200. How much do you get? 1,000 I give you now. How much do you get? 200. $400. 500. 600. 700. 800. No. I go settle plenty na just I dey go. I beg. Now the one where they cause quarrel between me and una be that. No. I did serious. I beg no vex. I did very serious. I beg no vex. No vex.
My people, customs officer no believe them eyes when them open these packs of noodles. Them see arranged 2,886 ATM cards and SIM cards now full inside. The custom officers sharply hand over Ishaq Abubakar give EFCC. Deputy Controller Enforcement of Nigerian Customs, Abdulmumuni Bako, say Ishaq Abubakar tell them say in they come straight from Kano. The Lagos State Zonal Head of EFCC, Abdurrashid Bawa, say them no go face Ishaq Abubakar alone, but they must to find out all the people will get hand for inside this racket.
This our ATM card is being produced by people, company. So maybe they work for a company. Or maybe the bank representative where they send making go distribute them. Or native in Tifam. If native in Tifam, from which people high take steal them. You get insiders for the different banks where you get the cards from. Are they na cards where they don't duplicate from other people? But for the fact say they can't catch them like that, say, oh, this man get, make him feel explain how to get the cards. When they look at the names of the people who get the cards, then when they reach the banks where the cards represent, you say, come on, this is your account holder. Check out, make it ask whether you don't lose in card before. So if you don't lose them, I take lose them. Because if na mistake they take lose the cards, or na thief they thief them, now they go take no whether na thief it be, or na one of those people where they do corrupt practices for inside banks, where they connive, they collaborate with all these bank workers, where they do all these cards, they go just duplicate the cards, double. Same card now when you carry now to use them to do OTP information, one-time password that the bank they give. Because if you do two-way verification, they go send you that PIN, 6-digit number. If you see and you put them before you go on to authenticate your online transaction. People now can carry those SIM cards.
Now through bank they get ATM card now. No be individuals they print ATM card. And you wouldn't say person no go fit talk say now just the person go collect ATM card from one person inside bank. I don't know where that bank. Why I ask the first question, which person names they inside those ATM cards? Because I'm not sure say bank go issue 2,883 ATM cards for one person name. I've been a different people name they take issue. And then there's this BVN that they have done, bank verification number, which where they carry everybody fingerprint. So me I find it difficult to say whether bank go just on their own willingly issue those cards. Be they get people where they work with them will be moves inside the bank.
The EFCC zonal office still talk say this Ishaq Abubakar case no be one person thing, na joint body of Mago. The yarn say for Ishaq to get that amount of ATM cards, bank and bankers must get hand inside the matter. Then again, wetin Ishaq won't carry the 2,886 ATM cards go do for Dubai. He not get anything where he won't do where they clean. And na so Nigerians, innocent country people, where just they do their business jejely, they do their correct business, na so them they take enter criminal palaver where them no sabi anything about. So when you reach airport for Dubai, and security officers begin they off your clothes, they force you make you enter toilet go shit. They peruse all your clothes and underwear like tailor where they learn work. They check everywhere for your body like say you be criminal, make you sabi how it take happen like this.
It be like say the whole of the situation, there is a complicity between three group of people. One, the security go come out and say they are clean concerning this issue. Two, the individuals. Three, the bankers. One man will get close to 3,000 ATM cards. In the first place, who give them the ATM cards? Two, in whose name did he process all those ATM cards? Three, who collected the ATM card from these various banks that issued the ATM card? Then three, we said even the security personnel, they no go come out clean and say they are clean concerning this matter. Because if person, we have BVN wey be say if you have more than one account, e go link all your account to your identity. Now, is it that person don dey recruit people make dem go bank dey open account in his name or in different people name, or giving them more than one form of identity or the other? You understand? All those things na things wey we suppose dey ask question concerning, and it has so many implications based on the say, you know, we Nigerians, they don't even trust us anyway. Now when this kind of matter don dey come again, e go dey create too much suspicion on the people wey dey check us before we go even go any land wey no be our own.
EFCC don promise to say dem go investigate this matter well. No magomagorist must escape. You see, country woman see money for airport, he return am. Bauchi driver, he get overpayment for him pension, he return the extra. Custom officer, he take a korokoro of him eye, see bribe of hundreds of millions wey go change in life, but he no gree collect. Young countryman, he see big money for his account wey enter gbagam, he no withdraw am o, he return am go back to where he for come. Same thing with one correct teacher wey return money wey dey take mistake fall enter her account. She return am. Yet, one Nigerian go enter abroad, take our image, take play draft, everything go scatter. No be enemy wey hide inside roof, they took hold be that. As EFCC don promise, e must see say people chop pepper. People like Ishaq Abubakar, they chop cold beans for prison. Anyway, my people, now we package for this Sunday be this. Abeg, till we carry corruption tori come again next week Sunday. No say, palm oil wey touch hand, e no far from cloth again. Oh. The stain fit to cover everywhere. My name na Ufoma Eguriasi. Una bye bye yo.